Hey, what's up everyone? My name is Cameron and I am a consultant living and working here in New York City. I started my consulting career with KPMG back in July, so I've been in the role about 3 months now. I am in the financial services risk group, and my team helps banks, fintechs, insurance companies, and investment advisors maintain regulatory and consumer compliance. I have learned a ton in the last 3 months, and there are certainly some things that I wish I knew before starting my career back in July. So I wanted to make this video for those of you who are maybe considering going into a career in consulting, or maybe you've already accepted a role and are just preparing for that start date. Before we get into the video, make sure to subscribe to this channel. I post 2 videos every single week, and all my videos are targeted towards helping you live your best life. So with that being said, let's get into the first thing I wish I knew. So the first thing I wish I knew is that some engagements can be pretty long. I think typically when people think of consulting, they think every engagement is around 6 weeks and moves very quickly. And while this certainly is the case for some engagements, this is certainly not the industry standard. A lot of this is dependent on the group or the industry that you're covering. The engagement that I'm currently working on started at the beginning of this year, and it initially was supposed to end by the end of the year, but it looks like it's going to be extended a few months into 2023. Really, it all comes down to what the actual engagement is and the scope of the work that your team is doing. Some engagements are surface level and only require so much, and others really require a full transformation. So again, that kind of just gives you a little bit of an idea that, Rome wasn't built in one day, and therefore a company can't expect to have a full transformation in a matter of 2 weeks. So over the course of your career, you can still get exposure to a lot of different companies and engagements, but just don't expect all of this to come short term. The second thing I wish I knew is that the work can be extremely niche. Depending on the industry group that you are placed on, the work that you do can be very in the weeds. It's important to remember that a lot of the time when your firm gets hired, it's because the client has already tried to resolve the issue internally, but failed. So this means that the issues are typically highly complex and require some alternative thinking. The issues are certainly not simple fixes, because if they were, the client probably would have already handled them by now. This means that a lot of what you're doing wasn't necessarily taught in your business school classes. This means that so much of what you do is simply working as part of a team and using frameworks to approach the problems systematically. So this means that the work that you do can be pretty hard to explain to your friends and family when they ask what you do, and is also probably why there is an overall confusion in the world about what exactly consultants do. The third thing is something that I'm very fortunate to learn and really wish I knew going into it, and that is that the hours are not always super long, and there is still possibility for a good work-life balance. So for context, my engagement has me billing 40 hours each week to the client. This means that my team's expectation for me is that I work 40 hours a week. Fortunately, KPMG really does emphasize actually billing the hours that you work, even if it is above the set hours for that week. And this is something that I understand is pretty different at other firms. They may have you just bill 40 hours, but realistically you worked 60. KPMG, everyone I've spoken to, does not want you to do that, and they want you to bill the hours that you work. So far, I'd say my work week is right around 40 hours, give or take a few hours depending on the week. This means that I'm able to have a pretty great work-life balance. I'm still able to have time after work in the evenings to pursue other things. This is absolutely huge for me, as I obviously have this YouTube channel, which takes up a good amount of time. I also spend about 1 to 2 hours every day studying for the GMAT. Also, I live in New York City and I want to take advantage of all the opportunities that are out there, and it's pretty hard to do that if you're just constantly stuck in the office. I went into consulting thinking that I would be sacrificing my free time and that I'd be working nonstop. So I've been very pleasantly surprised to find that this hasn't been the case as of yet. Knock on wood, of course. But again, it does kind of all come down to the engagement that you're on. The fourth and final thing I wish I knew before starting my career is that you really are expected to add value and contribute to your team right from the beginning. In full honesty, I went into my job thinking that I would be given a few months to kind of ease my way into the engagement and have some time before I was expected to contribute or have any real significant responsibilities. The nature of consulting is that you are expected to learn a lot on the job, and you really can't be expected to know much starting your career coming in from undergrad. Yes, the first week or so after I was staffed was pretty slow, but this was mostly due to waiting for approvals and access and onboarding on the client side. So once that was done and I was given all the access that I needed, I was really off running. I was pretty fortunate or unfortunate, depending how you look at it, to be the only associate on my team for the first 2 months that I was on the project. This means that the people I was interacting with on a daily basis were seniors and knew their stuff a lot more than me. Because I was the only associate, I was given a lot of responsibilities and tasks that the seniors didn't really want to do, but still had very significant impact on the engagement. This included taking meeting minutes for the client calls, creating and distributing meeting decks and materials, as well as a ton of internal team tasks that I simply can't even explain. So although I'm only 3 months in, I've already had a lot of client interaction, and because of that, I've seen my communication skills improve drastically. I have to say that knowing that I'm adding value and actually contributing to the engagement makes me feel way more fulfilled than just being someone who happens to be on the calls and doesn't really do much. I'm in a completely different spot now than I expected myself to be when I first started. I really do have a lot of ownership on my engagement, and although this is my first job out of college and just 5 months ago I was still taking classes before I graduated, I do feel that I am a full-on consultant and it's a good feeling. So those are 4 things that I wished I knew before starting my career in consulting. What do you think? Are these things that you already know? Am I just an idiot going into this? Let me know in the comments down below. But even if you did know some of these things, I do hope that this video provided a little bit more clarity as to expectations that you can have for the first few months of your career in consulting. As always, if you have any questions at all, you can reach out to me on Instagram at Galbraith. I'd love to help you out. Also, I have to plug The Morning Brew, the best daily business newsletter. I've read it every day for the last 4 years, and it has helped me so much in my career. So with all this being said, I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.